Merci beaucoup. Bonjour. My French is not as good as my English, but I will try very hard. As the son of a French teacher, I should be much better, but there you go. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning, I believe. I don't know if my presentation is up, but I can speak extempore if that works. First and foremost is to say that it's a pleasure to be among you this morning and standing on existing protocol, representatives of the Ministry of Economic Development. I permit you to allow me to stand on the existing protocol. Thank you first and foremost for the honor that was done earlier on. I think it's the first time I was given the honor before I actually spoke. So I really appreciate you really must have managed your risk up front to be able to have the confidence to do that before I actually spoke to you about what we've done. I'm privileged to lead the Presidential CNG Initiative in Nigeria, which I was appointed to lead this initiative in October 2023 by Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, who assumed office on May 29, 2023. The importance of the initiative was on May 29, when the president took office. Nigeria was looking at a critical, I believe the third slide is fine. Yeah, the third slide. You can go one more step. Nigeria was looking at a critical abyss when it comes to its economy. It was spending trillions of naira. Put in a perspective, about $1.5 billion. Next slide. $1.5 billion on subsidy, subsidizing the importation of petroleum product and distributing it to the people at below cost that it actually paid for it. That was costing the country about $1.5 billion a month. And this was not sustainable. The budget, the national budget at that point was actually 50% deficit. And yet, there was no budget for fuel subsidy, yet we were paying it. We were subsidizing our neighbors, actually, if you think about it, because the fuel comes into Nigeria at cost. The Nigerian government discounts it by about 70%, 80% sometimes. And then the fuel finds its way to Niger, to Chad, to Cameroon, to Benin Republic. But the Nigerian people were paying for it. But it was not sustainable. The president, however, figured out that this needed to stop. The country needed to build roads, build hospitals, build infrastructure instead of importing petroleum products. Nigeria was producing 1.2, 1.5, 3 million barrels of oil a day, yet it was not refining it. But the added to the fact was you're not refining, you're importing, and you're subsidizing, and you're losing it to your neighbors. But Nigeria had another opportunity, which was gas. Nigeria is an oil country that also have some gas. With about 208 to 210 trillion cubic feet of gas under our feet in Nigeria, there was a great opportunity for us to use gas to power the economy. But we're still doing what our forefathers did. We're exporting gas largely from the Nigerian liquefied natural gas complex, NLNG. I say what our forefathers did because I always make the joke that our great-grandfathers exported slaves. Then they imported expatriates in form of colonial masters. They exported cocoa and they imported chocolate. My own fathers exported crude oil, and as I showed you, they were importing petroleum products. We needed to do something different with gas. We were not just going to keep exporting natural gas while maybe importing some of the products that natural gas made, like fertilizers and vehicles and plastics. We needed to use it to improve our economy. And that was what Mr. President asked us to do at the Presidential CNG Initiative. Upon instituting us, our mandates were three mandates: to incentivize the adoption of compressed natural gas and other alternative forms of fuel for transportation, to facilitate investment into the sector, and also, of course, to regulate for growth. These three steps were very critical if we wanted to bring CNG, and not just CNG, EVs as well as LNG, to enhance our transportation system. The implication of the removal of the fuel subsidy, of course, was that the cost of transportation went up dramatically. And this constituted about 15 to 17% of household spending. And of course, for ordinary people, that would be more difficult life. But because we had natural gas, we could convert our vehicles from using petrol and diesel, which were a lot expensive, started costing about 1,100 naira from just 200 naira or thereabout, to start using CNG that costed between 200 and 300 naira. That would be about 70% discount for the average user. And that was what Mr. President asked us to do. Right off the bat, if you look at the natural gas infrastructure of Nigeria, when we started, Nigeria had about 23 model stations. These were the places where compressed natural gases are produced. And we had about 20 daughter stations. That is where people actually have to use natural gas to refuel the vehicle. And we just had 7 conversion workshops. This is a country of 230 million people that had natural gas in abundance that could last us for 99 years. And that's natural gas that was already found. The unproven reserves could last us for 300 years. Yet we had no infrastructure or plan to use natural gas to improve the economy. And this is what we looked at. We had about 12 million vehicles in Nigeria. And we understood that of those 12 million vehicles, about 4.82 million of them were private vehicles, but the vast majority were commercial vehicles. And of these commercial vehicles, about 2 million of them carried 80% of the population. We're talking about the taxis, the cabs, the Ubers, the buses. And for us, that was something we needed to prioritize. Because if 80% of the population depended on 2 million vehicles, how do we quickly move these 2 million vehicles to the utilization of compressed natural gas? That was the challenge. And we're going to focus on that in our deployment. Next slide. As a country, we immediately launched a program that focused on 6 cardinal principles. The first one was we needed to establish a common standard. There was no common standard for natural gas vehicles in the country prior to our work in 2023. Without standards, there's enormous risk, as you can imagine. There could be fake products, cylinders, and conversion kits that came into the country needed to be standardized in order for us to ensure that we got good quality outcome. People naturally were afraid of things around safety. So we needed to manage that with quality standards. The second thing also, of course, is that we needed to ensure that these conversion workshops were established, because in order to go to natural gas vehicle from combustion engine vehicle, the easiest thing for you to do was to convert. With less than $500, your vehicle could start using natural gas alongside petrol, right? As opposed to having to go and buy a new vehicle that will cost you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. So with the stock of vehicles we have in country, about 12 million of them, we could easily, with $500 each, convert each of those vehicles to the use of natural gas. And then we needed to also deploy products and deploy platforms, CNG platforms, as the case may be, across the country. And we needed to bring in investment. It was very clear to us that it was not sufficient for government to spend all the money. I mean, the government budget should be better spent on healthcare, education, and roads, and rail, and airports. What we can do is to mobilize resources to invest in the natural gas sector in order to power the economy. So investment was very key. And so what we did was, over these last 18 months, first and foremost, we informed to reform. We needed to mobilize the population. We needed to convince the people, because that was our key risk. If people don't believe in the auto gas future that the president has plotted out for the country, it will be impossible for them to buy into the vision. And upon that, we then started implementing the program at the critical commercial centers of Nigeria. Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano. These 4 cities represent about 75% of Nigeria's traffic intensity. And that was the focus of our program. And in the last 12 months, we've been able to raise the number of conversion centers from 7 to 256 as at last count. We've acquired over 100,000 kits to implement what we call the Conversion Incentive Program that is going to convert the commercial vehicles I showed you for free. Because if we convert them for free, they then get to use gas, if you understand the razor blade model, and that gas ultimately is revenue to the Nigerian government. And we've been able to mobilize over $500 million of investment into the CNG auto gas sector. We've created over 10,000 jobs directly, and indirectly, we've created over 90,000 jobs. And that, I think, speaks to the vision of Mr. President to populate the country with auto gas-driven vehicle. As you see the map of the country today, very few states in Nigeria do not have the presence of the program, even those states were driving towards leveraging liquefied natural gas to extend and to reach them before the next end of this year. The key impact of what we have done is that we've been able to deliver cost savings to Nigeria, slow down the inflation. Just 2 days ago, the inflation rate of Nigeria continues to come down back to back for the last 12 months. And programs like these were critical in delivering that. Energy security, because we are substituting a product that we're importing and we're subsidizing with a product that we produce in abundance. And we're actually flaring, and something that we can actually control the price instead of depending on petroleum products whose price is the price of crude oil essentially is controlled in international markets. We've also been able to deliver a cleaner air for our people, open up new business opportunities, as I already showed you, with over $500 million of new investment, over 500 new SMEs participating in sectors, and over 10,000 new direct jobs. We definitely see the evidence of a CNG auto gas revolution in Nigeria that we hope to extend to the rest of Africa very soon. God bless you, and God bless the association. Thank you.
I still have one question. What will happen to all the investors that locally have invested in oil? And they said, okay, Nigeria is a big market. We want to invest in oil. And you know, I'm thinking about some of the leaders like Dangote that we know here. He's not everywhere. What's going to happen? How are we going to manage this transition for those business people?
Yeah, so it will surprise you to note that for them, it's a win-win. So Mr. Dangote actually just announced on Sunday that he's making the largest single investment in autogas CNG.
Wow.
By bringing in 4,000 CNG trucks to distribute his petroleum product. That will now be going as far as Cameroon and Niger. That will be powered on CNG trucks. For them, they cannot possibly meet the need. Nigeria is targeting to become a $1 trillion economy by year 2030. That will mean the quadrupling of our current economic size. So Mr. Dangote cannot quadruple the size of his refinery in that 5 years. So he needs to be able to account for that growth, and gas will be able to do that. Nigeria, you have to understand the importance of gas to industrialization, and I was at the West African Gas Conference last week in Accra, and I also said that West Africa needs to have a unified vision around gas. The reason why Ukraine and Russia are at war today is because of gas. You have to understand that without gas, you cannot industrialize. Gas is central to your food security because that's how you produce your urea and your fertilizer. Gas is central to even your renewable energy because that's how you produce the plastics that goes into your batteries as well as your solar panels. So for the new economy, gas is central for us in order to power our economy with electricity, with heating, even with developing our crypto reserve, because those stranded gas reserves can be used to do what we call crypto mining, which of course is even better than mining gold. We're talking about the extractive industry here today. So Africa, West Africa needs to have a unified gas vision towards industrialization and creating opportunities for our young people and enabling economy. And we are thankful that leaders like Mr. Dangote and Voie, Mr. Ismail, they are all leaders. Voie just invested in one of the biggest mini LNG plants in Ajaokuta. We signed 5 of them simultaneously, building 5 new plants in February that will be located in Ajaokuta, the northernmost point of gas, pipe gas in Nigeria today. The NNPC is investing $3.5 billion in the Ajaokuta Kaduna-Kano pipeline that would extend gas all the way to the border of Niger. And also investing, we're finalizing, taking the final investment decision on the extension of the West African gas pipeline that is currently stopping at Accra to extend it all the way to Morocco. So I think once we can see the vision of gas for the subcontinent, that is West Africa, then we can be able to really see the future of our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, where they live in a more economically prosperous and tied and integrated subcontinent in West Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations.